Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back. Today's daf is Taanis Yud Beis. We're holding at the very last line of yesterday's daf. Amar Rav Chizda. Yesterday we discussed the concept of Taanis Shois, which means a partial fast day. Not a complete fasting day, just a partial fast day. For instance, just fasting at night, or perhaps part of the day. We learned yesterday that if there was a proper Kabbalah in advance, then it's considered a Taanis. It's valued as a fast day. He can say Tfilas Anenu. He may not eat on that fast day, even though it was only a partial commitment for a partial fast day. Amar Rav Chizda, but you meant to know as follows. Hoda Amras Misanen L'Shois. We speak about a partial fast day, less than 24 hours, having the din, carrying weight, having value as a fast day. That is provided V'hu Shaloi Tom Klum Ado Erev. He didn't eat anything for the rest of that day, which means basically that he fasted the entire day, the entire daylight period. Then we can say, well, fact is, he didn't eat the entire day, even though his commitment was only to fast until Chatzos. He was makabel on himself, I'm going to fast tomorrow from morning till Chatzos. It so happens that he didn't eat for the rest of the day either. That's why it counts as a Taanis. But suppose he sits down for a meal after Chatzos. It doesn't count, because it has to be a fasting from morning to night. So again, even though he only committed to fast half the day, till Chatzos, so it's called Taanis Shois, he didn't commit to fast the whole day, but it only really takes hold if circumstantially it turns out that he didn't eat from Chatzos till evening either. Normally Abaye says, Abaye to Rav Chizda, well, that's a full-fledged fast day. Taanis Mal Yosei, of course it's a proper fast day. So although he had a limited commitment, only morning to Chatzos, fact is, he extended that period of fasting until the end of the day. And of course that has a din of a proper fast day, and he says, Anenu, etc. That's not just called Taanis Shois, it's a full-fledged fast day. Apparently we're speaking about a case where the Imluch, he changed his mind. What happened was, he skipped breakfast. He wasn't planning on fasting. It so happens that lunchtime comes around, it's Chatzos, and he says, you know what? May as well make this into a fast day. Imluch, he changed his mind. He decided to turn it into a fast day. At this point he says, you know what? From Chatzos until evening, I will consider it a Yom Taanis, a Taanis Shois. I want it to count as a fast day. For Kapar Savur, whatever it is he has in mind, it counts. So that's the case of Rav Chizda. First portion of the day wasn't really observed as a fast day. It was just circumstantially that he hadn't eaten. Come midday, he decides, you know what? From here on, going forward, I want this to count as a fast day. It counts. Because the fact is, he was makabel a Taanis Shois right before the Taanis Shois takes effect, before Chatzos. And the fact also is that he didn't eat the entire day, which is a precondition for Taanis Shois as well. Furthermore, V'amar Rav Chizda, Kol Taanis Shaloi Shaka Olav Chama Lav Shmei Taanis. A Taanis which did not extend until Shkias HaChama is not considered a Taanis. Suppose he fasts from morning to Chatzos and breaks his fast midday. It doesn't even count as a Taanis Shois, because again, you have to refrain from food and drink the entire day for it to count as a Taanis Shois. So again, Taanis Shois means a limited commitment. I'm going to fast from morning to Chatzos, or from Chatzos till evening. So even though it was a limited Kabbalah, it counts as a Taanis. He can't renege on his commitment. He has to say Anenu, provided that there was no food the entire day. Now the Farshim ask, well, yesterday we learned that even a nighttime fast counts. The Gemara said if he would have been makabel in advance of that night, we're speaking about the night which followed a fast day, it would be considered part of that fast day, even though it was just one night, he's going to eat breakfast the next morning. So the Mepharshim answer that even though it's not a full day Taanis, but a night has significance. So a Taanis shows can apply either to a night, it's also a unit on its own, or, as we said now, he was makabel for part of the day, and he actually didn't eat the entire day. That also counts as a Taanis choice. Asks the Gemara, is that true that a Taanis needs to encompass the entire daylight period? Anshe Mishmar, Kehanim Levim, used to keep a rotation in the Beis HaMikdash. Every day they had another group of Kehanim and Levim. It so happens that Klal Yisrael is experiencing a drought, there's a Taanis going on, but the Anshe Mishmar have to conserve their energy. They can't really fast the way everybody does. So the Anshe Mishmar, the Kehanim that are going to serve today, Misanan, although they participate in the Taanis, they don't complete the Taanis. They break their fast sometime throughout the day. Apparently, even an incomplete Taanis, even on a day where you actually ate, you can count that as a Taanis. It's a Kasha to Rav Chizda who says a Taanis must extend from morning to night. Answers the Gemara, Hassam, there it's different. Litzuri nafshi ba'almahu. They were just trying to participate in the tsar of the tzibur, commiserate with the tzibur, empathize with the tzibur. But technically, it's not really a fast day. Tashma, another raya. Dom Reb Lezer Tzaddik. Ani, you know who I am? B'nei Bana shel Sana ben Binyamin. I belong to this family of Sana ben Binyamin. I'm a descendant. I'm a part of that mishpacha. And Rashi explains there's a whole story behind this brisa. When the Yidden came up from Bavel, they were short of wood, and there were some families that volunteered to supply the wood for the Beis HaMikdash. Chacham decided, due to their generosity, we want to mark that. We want to give them a special privilege. Throughout the Doiris, each family who participated in that initial collection of firewood will have the schus to donate wood to the Mikdash on a certain day of the year. Well, they allotted certain days for this, and whatever wood they bring, they got priority. That's used for the Mizbeach on that day. And this specific day was considered a Yom Tov for this family to celebrate their commitment to Hashem's Beis HaMikdash. Says Rabbi Yehuda Tzaddik, I belong to this family of Sanav ben Binyamin, whose Yom Tov, Zman Atzei, Kehanim was called the day of firewood, fell out on Asora Ba'av, 10th day of Av. That was their day of celebration. Turns out one year, Tisha B'Av, a fast day, falls out on Shabbos. We don't fast on Shabbos, so we postpone it. We postpone Tisha B'Av till Sunday. And we also fasted on that day, but we don't complete the fast. You know why? It was our holiday. We celebrate the 10th of Av. And that overrides Tisha B'Av to a certain extent. So you start, but you don't finish the day in fasting. Oh, so you see that an incomplete fast day counts? Kasha to Rav Chizda. Hasam Nagdir as well, says the Gemara. They were just trying to be mitzar themselves to participate with the tzar tzibur. Technically, it doesn't count as a fast day. Tashma, another raya. Akasha on Rav Chizda. Dom Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda used to say, Taanis, I'm going to be in Taanis. I'm going to fast until I get home. And then I'll have my breakfast. An incomplete Taanis works. Hasam l'shmuti nafshi. He was just using it as a ploy. To get himself away from the Bein Nesiyah, the family of the Nasi. He would push him to eat with them. He don't want to have breakfast with them, so he used this excuse, so to speak. I'm fasting now until I get home. This way he would avoid interacting with them. But technically speaking, it wouldn't really count halachically as a fasting. So in conclusion, Rav Chizda tells us, we know about Mis'ana and L'shois, where a person commits himself to a partial fast day, but that only counts if he actually didn't eat the entire day. So you can be makabel to fast from morning to chatzos. And you say anenu at that point, but provided you refrain from food for the rest of the day. Likewise, you can be makabel to fast from chatzos till evening. And you can renege on that commitment. It's a Kabbalah, even though it was only a Taanis l'shayis. But it only works provided that you refrain from food from morning to night. Amar Shmuel, how are you makabel Taanis? Kol Taanis shlei kibul olav imbaydoyim, lav shmei Taanis. If one fails to accept the Taanis upon himself before the Taanis comes about, it doesn't work. So you have to be makabel Taanis today in anticipation of tomorrow. Taanis is like a carbon. You have to set it aside, designate it in advance. V'yasiv, let's say he fasts without being makabel. Does it have any value? No. Amar Rabbi Bar Shila, Dami, you know what it's compared to? Lema pucha, a bellow, the mali rizika filled with air. So the fact that he's empty without food, he's just full of air, it's worthless. It's tzar, it's yisurim, it's probably machaper, but it doesn't have the value of a yema Taanis. Emes makabel, when should he be makabel the Taanis on himself? V'machlikas. Rava b'mincha. Rav says, anytime in the afternoon. Sunday afternoon, some say from the Zman of Mincha Gedolah, 12.5 hours, 6.5 hours into the day. From there on in, he could be makabel tomorrow's fasting. Shmuel Amar, no, but tefillah mincha. Dafka during the tefillah, perhaps the tefillah which is b'makim korban, is meant to address the neder of Taanis, which is also b'makim korban. That's when you do it during tefillah mincha. Amar Rabbi Yosef, kavaseder Shmuel mistavra. In fact, Shmuel's approach seems to be more correct. The Chsiv Megillas Taanis. We have the Megillas Taanis, which gives us a comprehensive list of all those days on which miracles occurred and which the Chacham established as days of celebration. You have to fast in those days. And what does it say there? We have a whole long list of days of celebration with no fasting, but we make exception for lahin, except kol inish, for a person, the Yaisi Elohi, Mikad Mastana, who already designated these days, Mikad Mastana, before we came about and established them as days of celebration. He was Makabel Taanis on these days. Yesar, he becomes Asr. He doesn't eat on those days. He can observe Taanis even on the days of Megillas Taanis, those Yomim Tov. That's a Lashon in Megillas Taanis. Now the word Yesar is a bit unique. What does this mean? My love Yesar Atzmei B'Tzloi. Perhaps the Bryce is telling you the method, the procedure, how does one commit himself to do a Taanis. It's not enough to say, well, I'm gonna fast tomorrow. It doesn't work. Yesar Atzmei B'Tzloi, during Tefillah, he has to commit himself to that Taanis. Is it right to Shmuel? You have to be makabel b'shas mincha. Loi, no. Yesar Atzmei. All the Bryce is saying is a result, describing the end result. He's going to become Asr on those days. Not telling you how to do it. Even a commitment which occurred outside Mincha creates that Isser, which results in the Asr Atzma. In fact, Pligi Baha, Rabbi Chia, Rabbi Shimon Rabbi. Rabbi Machlekes between Rabbi Chia and Rabbi Shimon Rabbi in this Shaila. When to be Makabel Taanis. How to interpret the Megillas Taanis, which says the word Yesar. Chad Amar Yesar, one had the Girsa Yesar, V'chad Amar Yesar. Other one had the Girsa Yesar. The Gemara explains. Mad Amar Yesar, the one that learned the word Yesar, he held Kedamrin, as we explained. Because Taanis has come to explain to you how the process works. He has to add a new type of Isser during Mincha. That's when he has to be Makabel. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Lamad Amar Yesar. Now, the one that had the Girsa Yesar, Mahi. What's the Chidush of Megillas Taanis? That a person can commit himself to be Makabel to fast? Of course. Of course, if he commits himself to fast, he has to fast. What's the Bryce teaching us? So if the Bryce is telling us how to do it, he has to redo his commitment during Mincha. Okay, so there's a Chidush. But just to simply say Yesar becomes Asr due to his commitment, well, of course. Mahi, what's the Chidush here? The Sanya. As the Bryce explains, Megillas Taanis, Kol inish the Yaisi Elohi, any person who committed himself on these days, Mikad Mastana, before they were earmarked as days of celebration, Yei Aser, he has to keep his commitment. He will fast even on these days. Ketzad, how does this work? Yachid shekibel olav sheni v'chamishi shel kol hashana kula. This fellow is a tzaddik. He committed himself to fast on Mondays, Thursdays, throughout the entire year. Mondays and Thursdays are Yimei Ratzain. Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Hashem to atone for the Egel. It was on a Thursday, came down on Yom Kippur on a Monday. So Mondays and Thursdays were established as Yimei Ratzon. In fact, we add a longer Tachnun. So he decided he's going to fast on Sheni v'Chamishi throughout the entire year. V'iru bam yamim tovim maksuvim Megillas Taanis. It so happens that on one of those days, the Yamim Tovim Megillas Taanis fell out. So now he has a clash. Now he has to fast on Megillas Taanis days, but he made a commitment. So it depends what came first. If his neder preceded our establishment, our earmarking those days as he made Yom Tov, Yav till nidra es gzera seinu. His neder overrides our gzera. He fasts. If our gzera preceded his neder, tibatel gzera seinu as nidra, our gzera overrides his neder. That's the bottom line of his machlekes. Regarding the point of Kabbalah, is it just in the afternoon or dafka by mincha? Rav says any time in the afternoon. Shmuel says dafka mincha. And halacha would bring down that we meant to do it by mincha, but if he forgets, you can do it up until the end of the day. Tana Rabban, here comes another topic. A fast day begins typically in the morning. Ad masa echel v'sheis. Until what point can you eat and drink throughout the night? Ad sheyalam udashach, until morning, till daybreak. Divrei Rebbe. Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon Omer, no. Before that, ad krois hagever, until the crow calls out, until the rooster calls out, which is a time when people start getting up. So although it's not yet daylight, but it's considered the tchilas hayom regarding Taanis. Amrabai lo yishanu, this allowance to eat throughout the night is only elish lo gomer sudasa, if he hadn't really completed his meal, supper time. Aval gomer sudasa, but if he finished his supper, eina eichel, he cannot continue eating. He was masiach das from eating. He has entered the Taanis territory. Eisvei Rava has a kashmar brisa which says gomer v'amad hariza eichel. Even if he finished eating and gets up, he can continue eating until morning. Hasam kishaloi silek. They were speaking that he didn't remove the table. They used to remove the table as an indication of meal's end. Well, the table's still there, so apparently he's still engaged in his meal. But otherwise, once he really finishes his meal, food's over. Ikadamri. There's another version of this discussion where Rava started by saying, Amar Rava leishanu, this heta to eat throughout the night is only el kshaloi yashan. This fellow hadn't slept. Aval yashan. Once he sleeps, einoi eichel, even if he wakes up before morning, it's over. He was mesiach das from eating, he committed himself to the Taanis. Esvi Abai, now Abai has the kashmar brisa which says yashan v'amad hariza eichel. If he got up from his sleep, he can still eat. Hasam b'misnamnim. That's speaking about a light doze. I'm not speaking about a deep sleep. But if he really had a deep sleep, Rashi says it's a hafsaka. That's it. He cut himself off from achila and is ready for the fast. But just a little doze, that's not considered. How do we describe a misnamnim? One of Ashi, nim, he's a bit sleeping, but nim, not really sleeping. Tir, he's partially awake, but tir, not fully awake. How's that? The korelay, if you call him, Reb Shimon V'ani, he responds. But that's about it. V'lo yada haduri svara. He can't really respond with logic. V'chimat kirilei, but he is cognizant up to a point. When you remind him of something, oh, do you remember that? Yeah, Mitkar, he remembers. Yeah, sure. So he's somewhere hovering between sleeping and wakefulness, and that's not considered a hafsaka regarding the Isser Achila. And Rashi brings down the halacha we paskin that he can eat the entire night until Amud HaShachar, provided he didn't have a Ishinas Kva. I believe in halacha it's brought down, even if he did have a Ishinas Kva, but if he expresses his intention, he said, I'm going to go to sleep, but I'm going to wake up to eat, and that's okay as well. Amar Rav Kahana, Amar Rav. Yachid shekibel olav Taanis. Suppose an individual commits himself to fast, a personal fast day. Asur ben ilas asandal. Not only can't he eat, he he has to go barefoot. Chayshina will concern Shema Taanis Tzibur Kibale. Perhaps when he said Avi Makabel Taanis, it was the Taanis Tzibur that Kibel love. It was in reference to those fast days where the Tzibur actually walks barefoot, as we're going to see in the next Mishnah. So since we're not sure, we assume Stam Taanis is the more severe Taanis Tzibur, and that's what he's committed to do. So what should he say to avoid confusion, to avoid suffix? He should say, Lamachar tomorrow, I'm going to be before you, Hashem, with Taanis Yachid. By adding the word Taanis Yachid, he is clearly specifying that he wants it to be a limited Taanis, just from food and drink, but would allow wearing shoes. Amrle Rabbanon Rav Sheshes. Rabbanon turned to Rav Sheshes and they told him like this, interesting story. Hakachazina Rabbanon. We noticed the Rabbanon coming in here, the Misaimi Misanayu, they're wearing their shoes. Va'asula Beitanisa, when they enter the Beis HaKnesses, where they sit and they daven by the Taanis, because they held in Bavel. We learned this yesterday. There's no Taanis Tzibur b'Bavel, which means that even when there's a drought in Bavel, since the situation there is never so severe, the Taanis that they do in Bavel doesn't have the same severity as in Eretz Yisrael, and they're not limited, not restricted from wearing shoes. So here they're wearing shoes in the Beis HaMedrash. Ikbad, he wasn't happy with it. But Amalun, he tells the Talmidim, well, maybe they're eating as well. He was being sarcastic. What kind of thing is this to wear shoes during the Taanis? Abai Varava, they struck a compromise. Ma'aili, they came into the shul, kimasaimi apanta, while they're wearing some sort of slippers, so it wasn't totally barefoot, but it wasn't really shoes. Likewise, Marema Mazutra Machlefi, they would make a swap. The Yamina, the right shoe, the small onto the left foot, with the smaller and the left shoe, the Yamina onto the right foot, so it was a bit uncomfortable, wearing shoes, but not the way you generally wear it. Rabbanan the Ravashi, the Rabbanan in the Beis Medrash Ravashi, Nafki Kirchayu, they wore shoes as usual. And no difference, no change. Why? Sabri, they held, Kiha Damar Shmuel says, Ein Taanis Tzibur b'Bavel, Ela Tisha Bavel Vad. In Bavel, due to the abundance of moisture and rain and rivers and swamps, even when there was trouble, it didn't have the same severity as your Taanis Tzibur. Eating and drinking, no, but Nilas HaSandal, yes. So that was generally, except for Tisha B'Av, where we have the additional restrictions. But otherwise, you can wear shoes during a Taanis Tzibur. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rav. Loive Adam Taanisoy Upareh. Suppose a person committed to fast. Committed himself to fast a certain day, Taanis Yachid. He can borrow that day and pay back a different day. The Rambam points out, provided he didn't commit himself to a specific day. He says, I'm going to fast one day. He decided to start today, and he says it's not going to work out. You can borrow it and pay it back. Kiamrisa can make the Shmuel. This is Rabbi Yehuda speaking. When I presented the halacha to Shmuel, because he first was a Talmud by Rav, and then went to learn by Shmuel, so he presented Rav's halacha to Shmuel. Amalei Shmuel turns to me, why bother? V'chi neder kabbalah? Do you mean that he was makabel and neder on himself that he has to pay it back? The loisagi, that it wouldn't be enough to lay mishalim, that he doesn't pay it back, meaning why would he have to pay back a fast day? Let's uri nafshi kabbalah. This fellow had a mind to be mitzayir himself, if he can do it. Imatzi, if he can do it, mitzayir nafshi. Let him be mitzayir himself and fast. Ilay matzi, if it doesn't work out, lo mitzayir nafshi. He never meant to be mitzayir himself if it's not practical. It's not the din of a neder that he has to pay it back and make sure that he fulfills his commitment. It was a suggestion. He tried, it didn't work out. He's potter. Ikadamri. There's another version of Shmuel's response. Omar vidam Rav. Loiva adam tanisoi pareya. You can borrow and pay back the tanis. Kamrisa can be the Shmuel. When I presented it to Shmuel, Amar he says to me, of course, Pshita, of course you can pay it back. You have to pay it back, but of course you could. What's the chiddush? Lo yayela neder. Why would it be worse than a neder, a commitment? Promise is $100 to the shul. Well, by a neder, milay matzi, can't he go ahead, buy l'shlume, to pay it, or mazel, and go on and pay it, l'machar, l'yamachuna, tomorrow, the next day? You can delay payment of a neder. There's no dinner has to be today. Likewise, by a neder of Taanis, of course. Doesn't work out today, you can do it a different day. Rabbi Yeshua Breder of Idi, Ikla, he visited Lebeir of Asi, the Homer of Asi. Amdulay Egla Tilsa. They prepared him a gourmet meal, a third-born calf. Rashi says the third calf is the most high quality of them all, so they prepared a Egla Tilsa. Amalei, they asked him, Litam Marmidi, join us for the meal. Amalei, he tells them, B'tanisi Asivna, I'm actually right now experiencing a Taanis. Amalei, say, tell him, oh, what's the problem? Pay it back. V'lo Yisiv Mar, v'lifra, borrow the Taanis and pay it back, and join us for the meal. Lo Yisava Mar Lahod Amar Vidam Rav, don't you hold of that halacha, that a person can do that? Lo Yiva Adam, Tanisi Pereh, you can borrow and pay it back. Amalei, he tell him, no, it's time sensitive. Taanis Chalaymu. You know why I'm fasting? I experienced a disturbing dream. I'm trying to address that dream. When you fast, it cancels the effect. V'amar Rabba bar Machasya amar Rav Chama bar Guri amar Rav Yofa Taanis l'chalayim. Fast is effective, very effective countermeasure for a disturbing dream. Ke'esh, like fire burning through l'no'eres into the flax combings. It's very effective. It's a very effective antidote. Provided it happened on that day, the day of his dream. You know what? Even if it happened on Shabbos, fast on that day. Rashi says, he's experiencing distress. He's disturbed from a dream, so go fast. But the fact is, he'll fast on Shabbos. He has to sort of rectify what he did. Do tshuva on fasting. On the one hand, we allow him to fast, but you have to do some sort of takana. Leisev Tanisa, he should fast another day of Tanisa to make up for this fast. So on the one hand, he's desperate. He's experiencing distress. We allow him to fast on Shabbos, but he has to make up for lack of Einik Shabbos. Do tshuva by fasting another day during the week. Now, how do we allow him to fast on Shabbos? The Ritva says, similar to Rashi, the point of Shabbos is to have Einik Shabbos. Well, this is my Einik. Fasting and nullifying my dream. And some actually take out these last few words, my takanase, leisiv, tanisa, tanisa, because why would he have to do that? It's the right thing to do, but others keep it in. The fact is, on the one hand, he had no choice, he had to fast, but on the other hand, he still did something slightly wrong, so he has to make up for that by fasting again. Okay, so what do we learn so far? You have to be makabel the Taanis, the previous day. You can eat throughout the night, provided he didn't sleep, which creates a hafsaka and inaugurates the fast day. We learn about a Taanis Yachid, where he has to specify that it's a Taanis Yachid, so that he avoids the restrictions of a Taanis Tzibur. We learned the Chiddush that in Bavel, they did not have the restriction of going barefoot. We had the halacha of Loiva Adam Tanisei Pareah. According to one version of Shmuel, there's no need to actually pay it back. According to the other version, of course there is. It's like any other nether. And we learned about Taanis Chalai. Continues the Mishnah. Avru Elu V'leinenu. So they went through the first set of 3 fast days with no response. They were not responded to. There was no rain. Now they have to pick it up a notch. Bezdin Goizrin Gimel Tanias Acheres Al Tzibur. Now Bezdin will establish another set of 3 fast days, which are higher in severity, more restrictions. Here it's a 24-hour fasting. Oichlan v'shoisen b'yayim. You can only eat and drink by day. You have to stop as soon as nightfall arrives. V'asurin b'malacha. They have to refrain from work throughout the fast day. Uberachitza, from bathing. Ubersicha, anointing. Ubnilsa sandal, wearing shoes. Ubetashan shambita. Not only that, v'noilanes marchatzoyes. They would lock up the bathhouses. So this is the second set of fast days. First set of 3, another set of 3, with added severity, with added restriction. Here comes a third set. Avru elu v'loinenu. Suppose they experienced the second set of fast days without response, without results. Bezdin goizrin alein oid sheva. Bezdin adds an additional 7, shehein, yud gimel taniyos al tzibur, for a total of 13, 3, 3, and 7. Now these 7 have added severity as well. Hara elu yiseiros al rishenis. In what way? Are these 7 more chomer than the previous ones? During these 7, Masri, and they would blow the shofar, and lock up the stores. B'sheni, on the Mondays, Matin im Chashech, they would open the doors slightly to allow the customers to come buy food im Chashech before evening to break their fast. However, on Thursdays, they were more liberal. Mutarin, they covered as Shabbos. They would open the doors the entire Thursday to allow Shabbos food purchasing. Suppose they experienced all these 13 fast days without results. They minimized business, building, planting, getting engaged and married, greeting people. They conduct themselves like people who are rejected by Hashem. Now the individuals, the Rabbanim, the Talmid Chachamim, who showed the Tzibur's responsibility, and they would go back to fasting until Nisan was done. Suppose it started raining after Chodesh Nisan. Siman Klola. It's a Siman Klola Shnemar. It's the wrong time. Today you meant to harvest your crop. It's not meant to rain. So we spoke about the fact that on the second set, we have added restrictions. Malacha, Rechitza, Sicha asks the Gemara, Bishloime Kulu. I understand why they have to refrain from all the other things. It's Bhutanic. It involves pleasure. Rechitza, Vesicha, Tashin Shamita. You meant to minimize enjoyment. Aval Malacha. But why would they not work? Tzaru. It's burdensome. It's a tzar to work. Why give them vacation on the fast day? Amar of Chizda, Amar of Yirah Ba'aba. It's meant to be a day of contemplation, a day of Cheshbon Nefesh, which we find in the following pasuk. Amar Kra, Katru Toim, Kirat Sarah, Isru Zakanim. So during the time of Taanis, get together. Kirat Sarah, call it as a day of refraining from work. Isru Zakanim, gather the Zakanim, gather the crowds, and daven to Hashem. The pasuk compares a tzoim, a fast day, to atzara, ke'atzeres, just like atzeres, which is shvuos or shmini atzeres. Ma atzeres asur b'asiyas malacha. Just as you don't do malacha on Yom Tov, av Taanis asur b'asiyas malacha. Likewise on a Taanis. That's why they focus, they concentrate, they do cheshbon nefesh and tshuva. Ima atzeres me'urta. If so, perhaps just as Yom Tov starts previous night, av Taanis nami me'urta. Likewise, the Isser Malacha by a Taanis would start from evening. Or Rab Zera, no, L'didi, Mifarshali, Minei, the Rabbi Yehuda Ba'aba. I personally heard a pshat from Rabbi Yehuda Ba'aba who presented this drasha, or this asmachta, as the Ritva says, this concept of refraining from Malacha. You know how we know that it only starts by day? Amakra. Take a look at the pasuk. Is v'zakenim. Right? Kiru atzara, refrain from work. Isvu zakenim. Apparently it's connected. Dumid asiva zakenim, refraining from work, is compared to gathering the zakenim together. When does that happen? Ma asiva zakenim b'yom. That certainly happens by day. At night everybody's home. It's not time for gathering. Av tzoim nami b'yom. Likewise, the Issa Malacha aspect of the tzoim starts by day, which is the ikar zman of Malacha, which really has the proper effect. That's the time of cheshbon nefesh. We're not makbid on night time at Malacha. Ve'ema mitiyara. If you're comparing to the gathering of the skenim, well, that's going to happen sometime during the day. Tiara is midday, chatzos. By the time everybody gets together, perhaps Isra Malacha should be dependent on chatzos as well, not from morning. Amar Shisha B'Davidi. The fact that the Gemara assumes that it starts in the morning is Misayele the Rav Huna, is the right to Rav Huna, the Amar Mitzafra Kenufya. In fact, the Kenufya, the gathering of the crowd, start in the morning. That's exactly when Isra Malacha starts as well. Echi Avdi, what was the schedule during a Yom of Taanis? Harabaya as follows. Mitzafra ad palga the Yom from morning until Chatzos. First, Ma'ininon b'mila demasa. First priority is we sit down with Ma'ayin. We analyze in depth the goings on in our town. Is there anything that needs correction? Mikan ve'elach after the Chatzos. Once we figured out what we need to do tshuva on, now it's time to daven, ask Hashem for rachman. Mekan ve'elach after Chatzos, we split the next half of the day into two. Riva Diyayma, the next quarter of the day, Karinan Besafra, we read in the Torah, Pasha Vayachel of Taanis, Vaftarat on the Haftarah as well. We can Ve'elach, the second quarter, I mean the last quarter of the day, B'din Rachmi V'daven to Hashem, Shenemar Vayikum Al Omdam, Vayikru B'Sefer Torah Hashem L'Keyam, Reviyas Hayam. So quarter, we read the Torah, Reviyas Misvadim, Mushtachim Hashem L'Keyam, the next quarter, we do tshuva, we daven to Hashem. Let's go to Rashi, 19 lines from the bottom. Kitru Yom, Kiru Atzora, Izvu Zakin. Kol Yeshva Uretz, Beis Hashem L'Keichem, V'zak Kol Hashem is describing a day of distress, a day of tshuva, of Taanis. We connect to Atzeres. Ma Atzeres, Shvuos, Shmini Atzeres, we don't do Malacha. Here as well, we refrain from Malacha to allow us Yishuv Adas, to contemplate and to concentrate on what needs to be corrected in town. If that's the case, Ima Atzeres, Isra Malachta Mi'urta, the Isra Malacha starts at night, here as well. No. Duma Dasiva Zaken and Bayam connected to the gathering of the crowds. That happens by day, the Balayla Kalechad Bebesiv, and in a Saf nighttime is not a time for congregation. And we start in the morning. Messiah Rav Huna. Hadab Shita Chasiva Zaken Bayam. The fact that it's clear to us that Dasiva Zaken is Bayam Babiker, right? There's a Gersa Babiker. That in fact we get together in the morning. The gathering starts in the morning. First half of the day, we do drisha, v'chakira, in-depth investigation, livdik ma'aseyim, to analyze their mass, and b'iskib im gezel v'chamas be'erim, feisen oisan, whether there's something dishonest going on, and we rectify it. Hechi avdi, my avdi b'kenufi, the mitzafra b'kol yom tanis. What do we do on a Taanis? This Rashi actually belongs before the previous Rashi. So the first half of the day, ma'ayin, we do cheshbon nefesh. Then we split the next part of the day into two. Riva the Yoma. Between Chatzos and evening, we split into two parts. The Palga, half of that, meaning a quarter of the day, down in Riva the Yoma, Kor Vayachel, Moshe, we read the Parsha, Vayachel, Maftirin, Dirushos, Hashem B'Matzoi. The next half, we daven to Hashem. Says the Gemara on top of Yud Gimel Mud Aleph. Well, maybe let's switch around the schedule. First, do Kriyas HaTorah, daven, and then look into mundane matters. You can't say that's the proper way to do it. There's a pasuk. Ve'lo yasfu kol chored divrei Elokei Yisrael amal hagoyla. This is a pasuk by Nehemiah. So they presented Nehemiah with the distressing news that the Yisrael were marrying goyim. Vani Yoshev, the pasuk continues, Vani Yoshev Mishoimim ad Michas Erev, sitting there astounded until afternoon. So the first half of the day, they were contemplating, they were thinking, what can we do to fix up the situation? Uksiv, what happens in the afternoon? Michas Erev, Kamtim Taanis, I got up in my Taanis, Efes Hashem, and I stretched my hands out to Hashem, but tefillah, so we see that that's the proper order. First, you take care of business, figure out how to fix things up, the masakin, the chamas, and the gezel, and the averis. And once you do proper tshuva, now it's time to read the Torah, to be inspired, daven to Hashem for rachmanas, and for bracha. Okay, so what do we learn today? We learned about Taanis Shois, where a person commits to a partial fasting, and that takes hold, that has value. You can't renege on that promise. You would say, Tefillah Sanenu, during the time of the Taanis. However, says Rav Chizda, this only works provided he refrained from food throughout the entire daylight period, or as we learned yesterday, throughout the night period. How are you mekabel a Taanis? It has to happen before the Taanis takes effect. So in the case of Taanis Shois, actually, you can be mekabel Taanis on that day. Mekabel Taanis from Chatzos onward, as long as the Kabbalah preceded the actual implementation of the Taanis. But typically when we have a Taanis which encompasses the entire day, so you Mekabel the previous day. According to Rav, any time in the afternoon. According to Shmuel, Dafka, during Mincha, there's man of Tefillah, Tefillah HaMincha, there's man of Korban. It's an appropriate time to Mekabel Taanis. During the night preceding the fast day, you can eat until Amud HaShachar, provided he wasn't Mesiach Das, he didn't sleep a Shinas Kva. If one is Mekabel Taanis Yochid, he should specify that it's only a Taanis Yochid, otherwise it can create confusion. He might have to refrain from nilas hasandal as well. She should say it's a Taanis Yachid, which only limits him from achila v'shtiyah. We learned that, according to some shittas, ein Taanis tzibur b'Bavel. In Bavel, they never had that second level. Right, in the Mishnah we had 3 levels of severity. 3, 3, and 7. So, sets 2 and 3, right? The second 3 and the 7 featured all those stringencies of nilas hasandal, etc. So in Bavel we don't have that halacha because, as Taisus explained, yesh lahem harbe geshamim, so they never applied the chumrah of Taanis Tzibur to Bavel except by Tisha B'Av. Rav says you can borrow a Taanis and pay it back, a personal Taanis which was not pegged to a specific day. What a shmuel shita, according to one girsa, you don't even have to pay it back. All he had in mind is to try to be mitzar himself, if it works. According to the second girsa, of course you have to pay it back, and it's pashut, you can pay it back. A Taanis Chalaim is meant to take place only by Bayayim. We allow it even on Shabbos. And the Mishnah presented the 3 levels of Taniyos, going up the ladder. We have the first set of Taniyos, which are not so severe. It's only Isra Achila V'Shtiyah during daytime. Going up the ladder, we have the second set, which are more chomer. They include all kinds of other restrictions. Plus, it's a 24-hour Taanis. The third and final set, the last 7 Taniyos, have additional features of Masriyin and Nayal Nasachanuyos. We find a marker in the pasuk for the concept of refraining from malacha during a Taanis. Going to Ritva to give us the opportunity to focus and concentrate on what needs to be done on Yom HaTaanis. What was the schedule on Yom HaTaanis? First half of the day there was Cheshbon Nefesh, followed by Kriyas HaTorah and Tefillah. All the best to you on Besuras Tevis.